NFL trade rumors are heating up as we are just over a week away from the 2025 NFL Draft. My name is Harrison Graham. Welcome in to Four Verts. Let's dive on into it. Jalen Ramsey, we heard yesterday from Dolphins GM Chris Grier talking about Jalen Ramsey and Tyreek Hill. We'll get to Tyreek here in a second. And Grier basically just came out and said it. Look, us and Jalen have just mutually agreed to try and facilitate a trade for him moving forward. He said, quote, "We decided it was probably in the best interest for all parties to move forward." And he later said he did not request a trade. And once we kind of dive into the full picture here, I'll kind of just rip the Dolphins, a little teaser here. But first part of this is they just extended him last year, which felt weird at the time because they gave him a huge extension, and he's 30 now, and it's like, that seems a little risky for an aging corner on a team that doesn't really feel that ready to win. Like, sure, they had been a wild card team the couple of years prior, but it's not like they were a Jalen Ramsey extension away from, we're gonna be in the Super Bowl kind of contention mix here, and clearly that ended up not playing out. Spotrac had a good note here of like what the financials look like if a Ramsey trade happens. The new team would acquire 21 this year, then for the next 3 years, then 24 million in 2028. The Dolphins' dead cap increases by an additional 12.5 million. Now, if it's a post-June 1st trade, it's only 10.5 million this year, and then 18.4 next year. So they would say 5.9 million this year. But then again, the cap in next year is almost 20 million for him to not even be on the team. So it all feels very bizarre that you extend him last September, and then 7-8 months later, we're going to trade him even though he didn't request a trade. And then that brings us to Tyreek Hill, who's had a bizarre offseason, starting with the Week 18 locker room. He basically said, it's time for me to be on a team that can contend for Super Bowls. It was kind of like a soft trade request. Then he backed off of that, but then throughout the offseason, he's kind of hinted wanting out, throwing up the peace sign on Twitter on multiple occasions. But Chris Grier says Miami has no plans of trading Tyreek Hill. He's also been he was also alleged in another assault situation, but that case quickly opened and closed, so don't really know what happened there. My point is, it's been a distraction-filled offseason for Tyreek Hill. Again, another aging player who's coming off a year in which he was hurt, and even when he did play, did not feel quite the same, didn't feel as engaged. And look, could someone explain this to me? Jalen Ramsey, who I'm not going to act like is at the peak of his powers, but a player you just extended, has really not been a distraction guy, at least to my knowledge, since he's been in Miami. You're going to trade him, even though he doesn't want to be traded, reportedly, or per your own GM. But Tyreek Hill, who's kind of just been a problem all offseason, has soft trade requested on multiple times. You're going to keep him, even though he's playing games constantly on social media. And by the way, just forget like how each of them has acted. You're in a better position at receiver because at least you have Jalen Waddle, a guy who could take the throne as the number one guy. At corner, if you trade Jalen Ramsey, Cam Smith is your top option. The Dolphins have already been linked to drafting a corner in the first or second round. Now they'd almost have no choice if they trade Jalen Ramsey. I think the Dolphins' leadership stinks. I really do. I think Chris Grier is a joke. He's been in the organization since 2000. He's been the GM since 2016. 0 playoff wins. Mike McDaniel, I think he's a smart guy. I don't think he's a head coach. He just doesn't, just scream leader to me. I mean, remember after the season, he revealed that guys were skipping practice, and he would find them, and they would still skip, and he basically acknowledged, I don't know what else to do. It's like, I don't know. Make it fucking obvious if you break team rules, you're not going to play. Just be more stern. We find them. What do you want from me? I want you to be a leader. That's what I want you to be. Again, I don't think McDaniel's as bad as Grier. I just think Grier's track record sucks at this point. But again, the guy who wants out, it would seem, you're not going to trade. The guy who doesn't want out, and you just extended, and you have a bigger cap penalty in the short term, or potentially next year as well, you're going to keep him. It's so bizarre that this whole Dolphin situation. I'll say this right now before we move on to another player on a different team. I am selling Dolphins stock this year. It would not shock me if this time next year we're talking about a team picking in the top 5. Okay, who should the Dolphins trade? Type R for Jalen Ramsey, H for Tyreek Hill, B for both. Look, if they came out and said, listen, we're going to trade both, try to stockpile draft picks. We understand the dead cap penalty is not great, but we need to hit the reset button a little bit. I'd be all for that, but it's like you're keeping Tyreek Hill, who's aging and is a distraction constantly. Jalen Ramsey, who, maybe they're protecting him, but doesn't sound like he's requested a trade. You just paid him, going to trade him. I could get both, but Ramsey over Hill, that feels like a weird decision to me. Okay, subscribe to the channel. We got NFL coverage all off season long. We are in draft mode right now. I will launch another mock draft sometime this week, so stay tuned for that. We have content every single day here on this channel, so subscribe, turn on notifications. We got you covered. Okay, the weirdest story in the NFL right now is clearly what the hell is happening with Derek Carr in New Orleans. There's a new theory emerging about this whole injury, and I put it in air quotes because it sounds like people in NFL circles are really questioning if there's an injury, and if there is, how serious it actually is, because the report that came out late last week was he could miss the entire season with this mysterious shoulder injury. Here's Dianna Russini doing some reporting. She said, I had a lot of text messages and conversations about the Derek Carr situation, and it was very hard for me to find someone in football who said, oh, Derek's definitely dealing with the serious shoulder injury. It was, how long have you been doing this? You know what this is about, right? Trade bait, right? End of the day, that's what it is about. I wonder, Dianna says, if there is a little bit of a, let's just call it a, quote, excuse made here with the shoulder so that Derek doesn't have to look back asking for a trade because of the situation. Something's off here. Like, if there was a shoulder injury, we would hear more about, in training he banged up his shoulder, or we would have heard something earlier in the offseason. It seemed to be as soon as the Saints in the betting market was like, they're going to draft a QB at 9, all of a sudden the shoulder injury pops up. Like, is this Derek Carr just saying, like, I want out? Like, that's been rumored out there as well. If I'm New Orleans, as you look at the post-June 1st trade details, because, first of all, they restructured him, so, like, they can't really cut him, but they could trade him. And if they post-June 1 trade him, his current cap hit's $20 million. Dead cap would be 19, so they'd save like $1 million. And for the next couple of years, they'd had some dead cap money on him. But it wouldn't be just what it would be if you just cut him after this year, a pre-June 1 cut. That's like 60-something million on their books next year. Like, I would just spread this out over a few years and just be done with it. Like, I would try to trade him after June 1st. I would get on the horn with teams like Pittsburgh and a couple other teams that could use a quarterback and say, hey, we'll agree to a 5th-round pick for Derek Carr. We'll send him your way on June 2nd. Because I get financially it was going to be tough to get under the cap without restructuring him, but you're under it now, and if you post-June 1 trade him, it's really not that big of a penalty. It's a manageable number for the next couple of years. It's not ideal to have like a $19, $20 million hit over a couple of seasons, but I just, Derek Carr is not good enough to just whatever these shenanigans are. And if I'm the Saints, I'm picking in the top 10. It's not a great QB class, but I would just take someone, try to reset with Kellen Moore and that quarterback, and just push forward. I just, this Carr thing, it was messy at the end of Vegas. It's messy now. He's an average player. Average player past his prime, has had some injuries. He was banged up this year. Whether this one's legit or not, I don't know. I saw another thing on Twitter where he's doing like car breakdowns with his brother. Like, he's looking at like different vehicles and giving his analysis. It's like, do you just want to retire? Like, I just, the whole thing is weird. I think there's a real chance he's playing in a different uniform this season. And if I'm a Saints fan, that is probably what I would be rooting for. All right, should the Saints trade Derek Carr? Type T for trade or K for keep. Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. Okay, we'll finish with TJ Watt. We never really hit this story on Four Verts, but it's still lingering out there. Late last week, he put out that IG story where he's throwing up the deuces here, Tyreek Hill style. Now, I think if you're TJ Watt, you've never really caused distractions. You've never been in trouble. Like, I don't really have a problem with this playing the leverage game, especially because unlike Tyreek Hill, he is egregiously underpaid at his position. He's not even a top 10 highest paid edge in terms of like his actual salary this year. He's 7th in terms of like the annual in terms of what the contract was signed, but His salary this year is $21 million. None of it's guaranteed, by the way. He just saw Myles Garrett get 40 per year with, I think, like 100 guaranteed or something like that. Like, yeah, that's my counterpart's getting double me. That's I'm not playing for this contract, and he shouldn't. He shouldn't play under that contract. At minimum, he should top Danielle Hunter there. Like, if the Steelers want to say Myles Garrett is a year and a half younger, he's a little better against the run, okay, whatever. But he should be making, I don't know, $38 million per year, and he knows that, and his agent knows that. I expect a new deal. Like, he feels like a lifer to me in Pittsburgh, but you never know. Maybe the Steelers look at this and are like, you know what? We've been this defensive franchise forever. We can't keep trying to win these games 17-12. By the way, our defense collapsed down the stretch last year. We just traded for DK Metcalf. Maybe we trade TJ Watt and continue to invest offensively. They still have good defensive pieces. Obviously, it would be a big blow, but if you got a big haul in return for him, I mean, I'd consider it if I was Pittsburgh. Again, I don't think they will. If the Browns wouldn't even trade Myles Garrett, I highly doubt the Steelers would trade TJ Watt because at least they've been competitive, but I'd take calls. I think all 5 of these teams would be interested. Washington's been linked to trading for an edge all offseason. Atlanta, they have been so desperate. I mean, Atlanta might be so desperate, you might be able to get the 15th pick. And if you can, I mean, that's something I would consider if I'm Pittsburgh. San Francisco, their D-line is a joke. Seattle's got an extra second-round pick from the DK trade. Trade it back. Like, that would certainly be interesting. And then New England has a ton of cap space. They just need talent, so certainly another one as well. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of 4 Verts. We are so close to the NFL draft. Be sure to subscribe. More videos to come. We'll see you soon.